President Biden trying to change the topic after the chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal by focusing his efforts on fighting COVID and his massive $3.5 trillion spending plan. Biden is set to give a major address later this week on the next phase in his pandemic response as well. But Republicans are saying not so fast.
I understand the administration wants to turn the page. They want this out of the news. They want to focus on their reckless $3.5 trillion spending bill. But there's a lot of members of Congress who are not going to rest until every American and every legal permanent resident in Afghanistan can get out of Afghanistan.
And Vice President Kamala Harris will be out in public this week, too, but not to talk about Afghanistan. The VP will be in California tomorrow, helping Governor Gavin Newsom because there's a recall election there happening next week. Jesse, President Biden, all he wants to do is build back better. I mean, he's just like, can we just build back better? That's what he wanted to do. Remember, he said, I want to talk about happy things.
That's right, happy things. You can't shift the focus if you're Joe Biden. He was never focused on Afghanistan in the first place. If he was focused on Afghanistan, we wouldn't have lost face, lost Marines, and lost all those weapons. He wasn't even focused on Afghanistan while he was giving a speech on Afghanistan. Remember, Dana, before I update the American people on Afghanistan, build back better. The media doesn't have to do what Joe Biden wants to do. The media can focus on what they think the action is going to be. Donald Trump, do you think they let Trump turn the page on COVID? They asked him, he talked about tax cuts. What do you think about Russia? You don't have to do what the president wants to do. See, the Democrats, the media lets Democrats turn the page, but they'll close the book on a Republican. And that's how this works. The media is in bed with Biden. If Biden goes down, the media goes down because the Democrats go down. They know his poll numbers are horrible. Those are their own media polls. And if he goes into the 30s and doesn't get this infrastructure thing done, then the midterms are going to be more of a bloodbath than they're already shaping up to be. So they're going to say, which is damning, we're going to ignore stranded Americans in Afghanistan. And the fact that the president is considering turning the page on stranded Americans, like you said in the A block, that means he sees these stranded Americans as a political problem for himself, not a duty or a priority to rescue. So, he'll spend this $3.5 billion and turn the page, but he'll only get credit, trillion, for inflation.
Well, there's that as well. And he brought up the poll numbers, Greg. It used to be for a few months, the president's worst numbers were on immigration. And they were really bad, like in the 30s. But now he's upside down on Afghanistan, COVID, economy, crime, and immigration. So that's not a good trajectory.
Yeah, everything he touches turns to poop. I want to talk about the recall. That excites me. Can I talk about because I just want to put
block.
No. Kamala is going to help him out. Isn't that part of this block?
That's this block.
That was in the. I heard it in the read, Judge. Don't you dare question me.
And you know it. It's
my question
block.
is Kamala Harris the worst vice president in the history of vice presidents? Right?
Well, we've had some bad ones.
It is the D block.
You know what, though? She has
California.
all the... Sending Kamala to help Gavin is like asking Charlie Sheen to be your sponsor at AA. This is not a good decision. She has the persuasive skills of gout. She's able to do two things that no person could possibly do. Be invisible and unpopular. Like flatulence. She's political flatulence.
Are you going to save those for the D block as well?
No, because it was in the read.
Yeah.
People, it wasn't just me who heard it.
It was just that they're trying to turn the page.
Yeah,
anyway, Judge,
Dana said it's in the D block. Listen to me. She is the cackler in chief. I have no idea why they're even asking her to go there. Who's excited about seeing her? She hasn't done anything. She hasn't been present on any of the issues. I mean, look at Mike Pence. I mean, that guy he was every day he was on something. He was working. He was on this issue or that issue. He was always moving. This woman is hiding in a basement. She's probably at Joe Biden's old house. And meanwhile, Joe Biden, by the way, is you want him to deal with Afghanistan? The guy keeps going back to Delaware. I don't know what's wrong with him. Even during Afghanistan, he went back this weekend. He wants to talk about the $3.5 trillion economic build back better. He can't possibly build back better. We're supposed to have a great jobs report. We're supposed to have 750,000 new jobs on Friday. We had 200,000. The guy's a mess, and she's a bigger mess.
Well, one of the things that the president did today was go and visit storm-damaged areas, New Jersey and New York. He was in Louisiana last week, so Hurricane Ida did provide an opportunity for him to be commander-in-chief to try to help people that are dealing with that. But on all those issues, like, what would you say is an issue that's going well for them right now?
I think that as we have vital national security interests, we have vital national interest. And this president, I think, is understanding and realizing the rhythm of a presidency. He is down right now in a lot of the numbers you indicated. There was a decision by the governor of Texas to try to rewrite abortion laws and reproductive rights laws, which may shift some of the attention, as things do in politics. I'd say this. I gave President Trump tremendous credit for Operation Warp Speed. I was critical of him in other ways and how he handled COVID. I think we have to be willing to give presidents credit where it's due and be critical where it's not, and understand that any president, and we'll say she one day, he is going to understand what's going right and try to figure out how he can continue to amplify that. And at the same time, he has a responsibility to respond to Ida. He has a responsibility to try to ensure that we can compete against China. And I would remind us all of this. A year and a half ago at this time, we were not producing enough soap or paper towels in our country. We now have a chip shortage and can't produce enough washing machines, refrigerators, and cars because we have no chips. We ought to figure out ways in which 2 years from now, we're not having to be reliant on a global supply chain for us to live our everyday lives.
Sounds a lot like the Trump policy. But you didn't answer the question, Harold. What was the thing that Joe Biden's doing well right now?
Well, I think he's being president. I think he's being mature. I think he's being responsible. I think he's making clear I will be accountable.
Is it mature to strand Americans in a war zone? Is that a sign of maturity, Harold?
It's 120,000 people got out of there, Jesse. We will find out what went wrong, and we will hold those people accountable. Okay. But I give them a lot more credit today than I did back on August 24th. I don't give them all the credit, and they certainly will be criticized and held accountable for the mistakes they made, and there were many.
Okay.
But Harold, I'm just offended that you used a cisnormative pronoun when talking about she becoming president. You felt that, right?
I was like, can we just say they?
They. I mean, I honestly thought we'd moved beyond these, like, bigoted.
I picked up on that, too.
Yeah, me too. I don't know if I can even sit at this table.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.